Hey guys, welcome back to Planet JeJuDa, and today we are going to do the tutorial of how I created this continuous spiral coaster. Now, if you remember, this was an idea from our Pinterest crochet roulette video from last week where we made this coaster and accidentally worked into the back loop. And so I decided to do that with the full thing and make a few other changes, such as the last row not being a non-increase row. So I'm gonna show you how I did it with some few changes again, mainly going into the last part of it and doing a few single crochets after doing the half double crochets, and then a couple slip stitches to see if that transitions the bump better, if that makes any sense. Anyways, I'm basically going to be recreating this and showing you how I did it. So first, let's get into our yarn and all the supplies that we'll need. So for today, I am choosing this bright orange. I believe that's what it's called. I don't have the label for it. And I do believe it is Peaches and Cream. That is what you can get from Walmart because that's what I have access to the easiest. And it is an everyday cotton yarn. So that is our yarn of choice. Love this. I'm hoping it may give a pumpkin-esque feel with the striping, even though I know that the striping isn't in the correct way. Still, that's where my mind is going, so there you go. And of course, you will need your scissors, a needle. There is one there, I promise. There you go. And a stitch marker. Now I use a safety pin. That's just what I use. You use whatever stitch marker you can get your hands on. And then of course, the most important thing, your hook. And today we will be using the 4.25, there we go, 4.25 millimeter hook. Can you see it there? Maybe. Anyway, so the 4.25 millimeter hook, and just do a simple continuous spiral. So I'm going to bring you on down and talk you through the first few rows and then continue on, and then go back to, or stop when I'm almost done and show you how I am going to do the end and closing up the coaster. So let me get you down, let me bring you down, and let's get started. All right, so first things first, we are going to create a slip knot with our yarn. And you want to try to not close it too tight because then it will make it difficult to work into. So don't pull too tightly on it. And if you have to, pull on your working yarn to loosen it up a little bit. We're going to chain 1 and then chain 2. And then we're going to work 8 half double crochets into that first chain, trying not to be too tight because it does make it very difficult to work into. So we've got 1, 2, and we're going to continue on until we get 8. 2, 3, 5, 6. All right, so I have 7. I'm going to do my final half double crochet, pull my non-working yarn to close that circle, and instead of doing a slip stitch into that first stitch, we are going to just work into it as if we are starting our, well, not as if, we are going to be starting our next round. And therefore we want to work in the back loop and the back bump. So if you can see, there's little V's created by our stitches. And so the loop closest to you is the front loop, and the loop farthest from you is the back loop. And then there's a little bump right there at the back, and we're going to work into that. So I'm going to work into the back loop. Okay, so I've got the back loop, and now I want to work into the back bump so that I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to pull, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. That is our start of our next row. And so I am going to put my stitch marker, which in my case is a safety pin, and this will signify the start of each new row. And so because we are on row 2, we are now going to do increases where we put 2 half double crochets into each stitch, working that back loop and back bump in each of the 8, creating 16 new stitches. So again, I'm going to work in the back loop and back bump so that I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3, and we're gonna do another, and we're just gonna keep doing that until we get back to the safety pin. All right, so I have made it back to the safety pin, and with each start of each new row, we're going to start with 2 half double crochets or an increase into that first stitch. This third row, I'm going to do an increase, half double crochet, increase, half double crochet. So every other stitch is going to be an increase. So again, with this one, we are going to work it with 2 double crochets, making that increase. Also again, working into that back loop and the back bump. Thus creating our texture. And don't forget to put your stitch marker in that first stitch that you did for the next row. And this is what it should be looking like. As you can see, I have that spiral working around. So I've already worked up the increase in that first stitch. My next stitch is just a double crochet. I need to find that back bump. Sometimes it's not very easy. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Actually, nope. I just got it in the back loop. Why are you being so difficult? I might have to switch to the other color. Let's see. Oh, that's why. Because I was working into just the back loop. Or back bump. Oh my goodness. Alright, make sure you're working in the back loop and back bump instead of just the back bump. For criminy. There we go. So that is a regular half double crochet. The next one will be an increase, so it is 2 half double crochets in that same stitch. And we're going to continue to do that as we work around. Yep, there we go. So this next one is 1 half double crochet. The following is 2 half double crochets until we get back around to the safety pin or stitch marker. Alrighty, so we've made it back to our safety pin. This is what we're looking like right now. Looks like I had some trouble getting into the back loop, but I'm doing a little better this time, or this round. So we are starting the next row. We're going to do an increase in that stitch where the marker was. So we're going to do 2 half double crochets, remembering to mark our first stitch. Okay, and so now we are in the new round row, and so this time we are going to do 2 half double crochets into the next 2 stitches. And each time we go up a round, we're gonna extend that. So like for the following round, it's gonna be increase, 3 half double crochets into the next 3 stitches, increase, 3 half double crochets into the next 3 stitches, and so on. So that was our first one. This is our second. So now this is an increase. And we're gonna do our 2 half double crochets into the next 2 stitches. Increase. Two half double crochets into the next 2 stitches. Increase. Two half double crochets into the next 2 stitches. Oops. Increase. Okay, I'm going to continue to work on this until I get back to my stitch marker, and then I'll explain again the next steps. Alright, so I am back to my stitch marker. This is how we're looking. And just to, not just to, you should always end with the next stitch being your increase step. So I did my 2 half double crochets, and then my increase was the 3rd step back, or stitch back. So you should always end with a single half double crochet in the stitch prior to the next row. But if you don't, it's fine. Just as long as you keep working into the back loops and the back bumps and just keeping this pattern, it's not really going to matter. But we are working into our next row, so we're going to do an increase, which is of course 2 half double crochets into the next stitch. One and 2, putting our marker in the first stitch of that row. And this time we're going to work 3 half double crochets into the next 3 stitches. So 1, oops, 2, 3, and now we're back to an increase stitch. So 2 half double crochet into this next stitch, and we're going to do that until we get back to our beginning or our stitch marker. This yarn is wanting to split. It is not being very nice to me. Do you see that? I don't know if you can see it, but it's definitely wanting to separate. So let's see, that was that 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that was an increased stitch. Okay, hopefully, whoops. There we go. Hopefully I won't break. But anyways, I'm gonna keep going around, working 3 half double crochets into the next 3 stitches, then doing an increase. And then when I get back to my stitch marker, I'm gonna start with a increase, and then it will be 4 half double crochets into the next 4 stitches. The following row, it will be increase, 5 half double crochets into the next 5, and you do that until you get to the size of coaster, trivet, your hat, whatever it is. This is a basic circle that you would normally do for any of those types of projects, and you just keep doing your increases until you get to the size that you want to get. I'm gonna continue on, and then when I get to my last few stitches, I will come back and explain how I'm going to close off our round or our coaster. All right, so I feel like this is a pretty good finishing off point. I like the size of this, and so technically this is the start of the next row, and if I were to just end it here by doing a slip stitch, it would create a really funky bump, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do 3 single crochets into the next 3 stitches, working the same way as before, so through the back loop and the back bump of the stitch. If I can do that, there we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to slip stitch into the next 2, again working in the back loop and that back bump. Okay, and then here I'm gonna see if I can do an invisible join, even though I'm not really joining it. So I'm gonna cut my working yarn, pull that out, and attach my needle. Oops. And then into that next stitch, I'm gonna go through the 2 loops. Actually, no, I take that back. I'm gonna do what I've been doing, go through the back loop and that back bump. So you see right there, the back loop and the back bump, and then pull it through, and then go through the top, and I'll just pull it top of the loop, or of the stitch before, and thus creating an invisible join, so to speak. So now all I need to do is work in my ends. What I typically do is I will take this the yarn that I've got on here and work it to the center piece, pull this closed tightly, and tie it in a knot 3 times, and then weave in the ends. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Alrighty, so here we go. Ta-da! Here's the finished coaster. It is a little cuppy. I'm not sure why it did that. I will say this particular skein was being very difficult. It kept wanting to split, and yeah, so it made some unusually weird stitches, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, here we go. This is where we ended, and technically we started the next row, but ended it right there. But I think that looks really good. Here's this one, and there's that top. It still has a weird kind of flat top, but I think it looks a little better. I made this one a little bit smaller, not by much, but I just didn't want to make it quite as big as this one. I think I have the same amount of rows though. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I do. So either I used a bigger hook, or my spacing was a little not as tight. Maybe I was a little bit looser, but I could have used a bigger hook. I swear I used the 4.25. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and look. Anyways, here you go. There's your texture. And no, it doesn't look like a pumpkin, but I still love it. I think it looks really pretty cool. And I wonder if doing this with, now this is obviously multicolored, but it's not a variegated like this one is. So I wonder if something like this worked up this way, would you see the texture like you do these two, or would it get lost in all the different colors? So that is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do create one of these, I have a community page or a community area where you can post pictures and whatnot, and I would love to see your creations and what you guys did with it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I would love it if you would hit that like button. And if you'd like to be notified of any and all future uploads, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to click all on the notification bell. And with that, remember, gravity works, guys.